All right, good morning and welcome to Kinze's Ask Kinze webinar on the 5670 model. So we talked earlier, I'm Brad Neatstead, product specialist here at Kinze, and excited to talk to you guys today about the 5670 model machine and just kind of want to walk through kind of the plan for the day. And really the first thing is we really want to make the webinar for you guys at home. So as we're going through the presentation today, in the chat function of your Teams meeting, please feel free to type in any questions at any time in that chat feature, and we'll answer them as we're going through the presentation or save them to the end. Again, any questions open, just type it in there. Be more than happy to help answer your questions. And again, the webinar's for you, and we're going to focus on our new model 5670 lift and pivot machine and kind of walk through what we're going to talk about. First of all, kind of roll through the model lineup, kind of what's available in the 5670 from a size and configuration standpoint. We'll talk about features, options, talk a little bit about fertilizer, and we'll kind of wrap up at the end doing a physical walk around of the planter, kind of highlight again some of those features we'll talk about as we kind of walk through really just the machine layout as a whole. So to kind of get rolling, the 5670 is really a new planter from the ground up. So this is kind of the next generation in our lift and pivot frame design. So this 5670 model, part of our 5000 series family, similar to our 5700 and our 5900 model machines. This one, of course, is focused on the 15-inch row application. This guy is taking place of the 3665 model in our model lineup. So the 3665 is sunsetting away. 5670 is taking its place. So kind of walk through the layout. All right, obviously this one's focused on 15-inch row, split row configurations. It's available in 16 row with split row, so 31 row 15-inch configurations, of course 23 row 15-inch configurations, and as always we will continue to offer even row as an option on all configurations as well. We also have introduced, kind of part of this year's introduction on this model is, of course, the 30-inch only configuration. So you can get rear rows only, again, in 16 and 12 row 30 layouts. We'll kind of dive into those model differences here in a little bit as well. Of course, again, on the 5670, we utilize our 5000 series row units. So not only, of course, have we had our pull row unit for the 5000 series for several years, we now introduce, really for the first time, the 5000 series fully cast iron push row unit as well. And again, hence the model change to 5670. So we'll talk a little bit about the row unit, talk a little bit about the push row unit, as it's the first time we're offering a cast iron push unit as well. As always, on all 5000 series model planters, it's of course electric drive only, which of course coincides with having the Blue Vantage display as standard equipment. We support both true speed meters and our standard speed true rate vacuum meters as well. So those are both of the meter options. And of course, true depth, hydraulic downforce, or pneumatic downforce as well. So kind of the two options from a downforce standpoint as well. Just kind of a picture of the 16 row 30 or the 30-inch only configurations. Again, new for us for this coming model year. I realize, again, a lot of the focus is on the 15-inch rows, but got a lot of you guys out there that still utilize the 30-inch only configuration, again, for its ease of maintenance and, of course, great narrow transport going down the road. Just want to highlight kind of the picture of it. We've had a lot of questions on kind of what does that look like, specifically with fertilizer. Naturally, you go 30-inch only, mainly focused on a 30-inch application where maybe it's just a corn planter only. So just wanted to walk through that picture quick, and we'll kind of dive into the 30-inch configurations as well when we kind of walk through the capacities and those type of things also. So features introduced with the 5670. And of course, the first thing that we touched on a little bit already is the 5000 series push row unit. So Latest and best in technology and product boosting features. We'll dive into that row unit a little more here in a little bit. Both the 30-foot, so the 12-row configurations, and the 40-foot frames are each dedicated to their size of machine. So previously, our 3665 model, whether it was a 12 or a 16 row, really utilized the same center frame, and then of course the wings were just different lengths to support your different row widths. When we went to the 5670, we wanted to maximize that frame for that size to, number one, maximize fertilizer capacity, and really just kind of, again, make it lighter and support the options that you guys have requested. So we kind of dive into that a little bit. The 40-foot frame, again, being a heavier machine that we now can carry more options on, and we'll talk about those here in a second as well. But the 40-foot frame, 3665 versus 5670 frame weight difference is just under 1,000 pounds total. So frames, very, very similar from a weight standpoint, but get a lot more bang for your buck with options when we get to the 5670 configurations. The 30-foot size, so the 12-row design, we actually lightened that guy up a little bit. Again, maximizing it for the 12-row frame size, we actually took some weight out. So the 30-foot size is actually 750 pounds lighter than the same 12-row frame on a 3665. So again, kind of beefed up the 16-row to help support the increased weight and options, and then of course lighten the 30-foot, but still keep the same options. And really that first one on the next column there is you now, for the first time ever from Kinze, factory installed, you can have both onboard fertilizer, bulk seed, and split rows all factory installed. And again, utilizing our 5000 series liquid fertilizer system as well. And we'll dive into that also here in a little bit. On top of that fertilizer option, we've taken the fertilizer tank situation a little farther as well to help reduce overfilling of tanks with automatic fertilizer tank leveling. And we're going to talk about that as well. Not only did we introduce automatic tank leveling, but we continue to enhance our active hydraulic weight transfer as well. So the ability to adjust how much weight we transfer out to the wings based on seed tank level, and the ability to adjust how aggressive that weight transfer is as well. So we'll talk about that as we kind of dive again more into those options, give you some screenshots, some pictures, so you can kind of understand what's going on when it comes to the active adjustable hydraulic weight transfer. That features on all 5000 series, but it really starts to shine when you think about a split row machine when you have fertilizer tanks on the wings as well. So we'll dive into that when we get into adjustable active weight transfer. Really decided to, as we looked at the frame and we talked about frame design, this is a new toolbar from the ground up. And in order to support the 5000 series row units with the 12 inches of travel, we had to increase the under toolbar clearance on this toolbar. So for the first time again on a 15-inch row application, we've increased the under toolbar height to 24 inches compared to the 21 inches on our older 3000 series configuration. So increased the toolbar height. We improved our transport clearance as well, and we'll see some pictures of that here in a second. So increased high transport clearance. We've gone now and changed to all VF high flotation tires across this entire toolbar. So those of you that maybe have a 3665 or a 3600 or even just an older competitive unit, realize that that VF tire provides a lot of advantages of more load capacity, less compaction, and of course just a better ride when you're going down the road in transport. So we've gotten rid of really the center rib removed tire and went to VF tires across the entire toolbar on both models. So both wing wheels and center wheels are now VF tires. We'll talk about that too again once we do the walk around. But again, have provided, in my opinion, a lot better performance in the field. And I know some of you guys are concerned about running over that front row. Me personally running it at our farm at home in this configuration, those VF tires make a big difference in that emergent piece. So we'll talk about that again as we do the walk around. Continuing on again with 5000 series standard equipment part is our standard variable displacement piston PTO pump. All right, so anything on the planter is run through that PTO pump from a high hydraulic requirement standpoint. Again, like all the 5000 series models, it only takes 2 remotes to run it. Of course, one remote is to raise and lower. The other one is to run markers and fold. When you're physically going through the field, nothing is coming from the tractor. So allows you to really have a tractor that can pull it, doesn't need a lot of high hydraulic requirement. It's all self-contained on the planter, its own cooling system, etc. And again, we'll talk about that as we do the walk around as well. But again, a continuation that we have on all 5000 series model machines. Harness and hose routing. And those of you that have, again, been around 3665s and really 3600s for that matter, of course, one of the inherent damage areas for hose and harness, of course, is when you pick up and rotate the planter. We have completely redesigned that entire design on the inside center of that toolbar, where the hose and harnesses no longer come out the back and come around on our older generation 3665. They're now all integrated into that center frame, specifically designed, of course, because this planter is electric drive only, and we know the options that we're going to have for several years. We can maximize and optimize where those hose harnesses are, where they're routed, to help keep them out of harm's way. Of course, help reduce damage and just provide a better, more durable product long-term as well. And we'll see some pictures of that here in a little bit, and I can highlight kind of what we've done there in the middle to make it better. We talked about, again, liquid fertilizer now being a factory installed option. So when we get to the split row configuration, like the one behind me with factory installed fertilizer, no matter if it's a 12 row or a 16 row size, you get 300 gallons of liquid fertilizer with split rows. When you go to the 30-inch only configuration, we bump that up to twin 300-gallon tanks, and you get 600 gallons of liquid fertilizer on the 30-inch onlys. Again, 30-foot or 40-foot frames, you get the same fertilizer capacity. So kind of easy to know what capacity you're dealing with on that frame configuration. We have also, with that frame change, increased our wing flex from 26 degrees to 30 degrees of wing flex. So again, just give you more terrain capability, better terrain flotation, and again, optimize planting depth if that toolbar can, of course, stay in contact with the ground and maximize the row unit travel. 30 degrees of wing flex increase allows that to happen. We've made some changes on the seed capacity part. And again, talking about optimizing the 40-foot frame and the 30-foot frame. So on the 40-foot 16-row configurations, we've increased the seed capacity slightly to go to twin 60-bushel tanks. So similar to our larger 5000 series toolbars, you get twin 60-bushel tanks on the 40-foot. When you get to the 30-foot size, so the smaller one, we actually bump it down a little bit and go to twin 40-bushel tanks. But again, part of that reason was optimize the space claim on the 12-row to still give you the same fertilizer capacity as the larger frames as well. So a little bit smaller seed, but again, we keep that seed capacity up there. Of course, Yeta residue options, we'll dive into that a little bit once we get into the row unit and start talking about row unit options and attachments on the 5000 series. Some other changes on the frame. Again, we talked about, first of all, new frame from the ground up, increase under toolbar height. One of the items that a lot of guys have asked about and talked about is the wing lock part. So how do we lock the wings rigid when you're going to pick the planter up, rotate it, and of course go down the road and transport? Our older generation 3665 used really just a hydraulic cylinder and a oblong clevis to pull that wing solid. We've gone away from that now and kind of gone back to the legacy of our 3605 and gone to an over center mechanical wing lock like you see in the picture. This allows us to, of course, help support more wing weight by, of course, just really using mechanical advantage. Again, with fertilizer on those wings, it's a lot more weight to hold up there. It now, of course, goes over center. So again, we're not solely relying on hydraulics and counterbalance valves and those type of things to hold that wing up in the air. It's a little more robust and a little simpler as a whole as well. So redesigned those wing locks, again, to help provide better capability to raise and lock those wings solid going down the road, of course, when you still have product in those fertilizer tanks. We'll touch on this again once we do the walk around here in a little bit.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
We do have our first question.
Sure.
This question's from a Jeff Smith. How do the 40 bushel tanks compare to the 3660 models size-wise? And the follow-up questions, if we aren't doing fertilizer, can we get 60 bushel tanks on a 12-row 30?
Okay, good questions. And I forgot to talk about the man behind the screen that's helping me out today. He's going to kind of run our cameras and then help with questions as well. So Jeff, the size-wise on the 3665, if we compare those, and that's a great question, I didn't touch on that. They were both 55 bushel tanks on the 3665. So went up a little bit on the 16 row, down a little bit on the 12 row. Right now, today, we don't offer a different tank option on the 12 row if you don't get fertilizer. To be honest, you're not the only one to ask that question. So something we'll look into, to offer that as an option. The wild card is, of course, once you get to the larger 60 bushel tanks, it just limits that future capability of fertilizer on the second and third owner. I realize some guys are worried about the second and third owner part, but that's a good request. It's just something that, again, as we're releasing it and kind of getting it into the market, I'm not going to say no, we're not ever going to do that, but you're not the only one to request that. Again, I realize if it's a specific bean machine, that maybe that would suit you better. So right now, no, but not to say we won't in the future as a whole.
Jeff also wanted to clarify that they're actually coming from a 3600. So he's curious how that would compare.
Sure. So 3600 wise are, again, 40 bushel size tanks. It's a different style of tank. Naturally, as the picture you see on the screen here, those are the gray colored tanks, different than the white ones. So size-wise, it's almost identical as far as that goes. A different shape, but functionality of the bulk fill and everything else completely the same as the 3605. Of course, big difference when you get to the row unit frame size, durability, and weight compared to a 3605. Just kind of a whole different animal, just obviously the next level in toolbar and row unit options as a whole when you compare those two. Yep. So, nope, good. All right, so we talked about over center wing locks. If we go to the next one, and again, guys, just to highlight, I know we've had some that joined our webinar after we kind of got rolling. Again, welcome. As noted there, if you guys have questions, as we talked about, by all means, please type those into the chat, and we'll answer them as we're going through. So another change that we've done, again, different from previous generation lift and pivot planters, is we've gone to a dual vacuum fan setup. So as you can see from the picture, on the left-hand wing, right underneath the marker, the black circle piece there is, of course, the left-hand fan. Same thing on the right-hand side. So really it allows us to clean up the center section between the two tanks. And of course, if you're back there checking the tanks or working on them, whatever, you don't have that exhaust air blowing at you when you're on the catwalk. But more importantly, it allows us to give you the flexibility to adjust the vacuum per hopper. And again, for me personally, I plant a lot of split planter applications where you have a hybrid on the left and a hybrid on the right. And of course, naturally, they're never the same size. And from a seed size standpoint, so you need to adjust the vacuum per hopper. We now have that capability just like we do on our larger front fold machines as well. So give you guys the flexibility to really dial in seed performance on each half of the planter. So gone to a dual fan setup. Again, the hydraulic requirement, and realize again it's run off the PTO pump, but the hydraulic requirement hasn't changed even though we went to a dual fan setup. It's just 2 smaller fans, so allow some flexibility on that guy as well. So dual fans now on all 5670. We talked about the frame differences as well, and this is kind of a good picture to kind of show what that difference truly is. And on the top picture, of course, is the 12 row. We talked about, again, that guy going on a little bit of a weight reduction, all right, and 750 pounds lighter frame than the older 3665 12 row that it replaces. The wild card on the 12 row is that it is a 4 row center section. All right, so 4 rows are rigid, and then of course the rest of the wing, of course, is your flex point. We've shortened that up a little bit, just again to maximize flexibility on the 12 row. So we actually get a full 28-ish degrees on a 12 row. So we increased that a little bit from the older generation. Made the wing a little longer, again, allows it to float and help follow the contours of the ground a little better, having a 4 row center section versus a 6 row center section. So that's 12 row only. If you get down to the 16 row, the lower picture, that one is still a 6 row center section, just like the older generation 3665 is. Again, as we talked about earlier, that one is a full 30 degrees of wing flex, again, with the frame changes. Couple other things we've changed, and we'll hit this again as we do the walk around, but you notice where the outside tire is on both of these toolbar designs. And what we've done is moved that outside tire in 1 row. So really the far outside point is, of course, the edge of the marker if you're utilizing markers. And if you don't have markers on it, you can just get that much closer to the fence row when you're doing your outside row applications. Previous generation 3665 and really 3600 as well, that outside tire is truly on the outside of the frame. So shrunk that tire in a little bit, again, just to give you more capability and ability to get closer to that fence row. You know, maybe get 1 more row in that field. Again, trying to optimize every acre we can once we're planting through the field. So again, wheel module change. We also continue on the 12 row frame to have 1 single tire on the wing. And of course, the 16 row is dual tires on the wing as well. So carried that tradition on both of them. And of course, you can see it in that picture as well. Improved hose and harness routing. So again, we talked about that earlier. You can see the picture here in obviously transport mode going down the road. You can see again, just increased toolbar clearance, what this guy looks like going down the road. You notice though, especially if you compare it to a 3665, there is no hose take up that comes back out behind those rear tires. It's all integrated vertically right by the center post. Again, we knew exactly what options, features, and attachments will be going on this toolbar, being in that it's an electric drive only, and we've had fertilizer and all those type of options. We've optimized that hose and harness routing to really just keep things out of harm's way. Added, of course, larger portal holes, if you will, to run those hoses through the Y-hitch. And we've also spent a lot of time adding more junction points and providing more steel lines on the toolbar itself. So whether it be on that hose take-up on the hitch, going from the hose take-up up through the hitch, and of course getting to the vertical hose take-up that goes by the center post. A lot of points of breaking those hoses down into smaller sections. So heaven forbid if one would get damaged or wears out or whatever it may be, they still have the ability to easily change it out. Instead of pulling 40 foot of hose, you have smaller chunks of hose to replace. Even on the toolbar itself, we've gone to, again, more steel, hard-formed lines to help keep everything nice and neat, out of harm's way, and provide a little longer durability of those hydraulic hoses and functions as well. Having everything pre-formed, pre-laid out, just provides a lot cleaner toolbar, but a little more durable and longevity part of the toolbar and hydraulic lines as well. So spent a lot of time just really cleaning up that entire layout of the planter as a whole.
Hey, Brad, we do have one question, and this is taking us over to the planter monitor, the Blue Vantage.
Yeah.
Oh, did you freeze up there for a second?
It did. It froze on me. So
Good opportunity to answer this question. Tim states that he tells the planter monitor to plant 35,000, but it plants much lower in the 34,400 range. So if I want to plant 35,000, I have to tell it to plant 35,600 to actually get 35,000.
okay.
Why is that? Why can't I tell the monitor to plant 35,000 and then it plants 35,000?
Sure. So the big question, first thing would be to verify truly what's going on in the ground. 35,000, if you're within 500 to 700 seeds of variability from your target, isn't uncommon. But again, verifying truly what's in the ground, and then we can make a vacuum change or a singulator change, depending on which monitor or which meter you're running to truly verify that. But if you're within 500 to 600 seeds, either way, it's honestly pretty close. I wouldn't expect it a lot different. I would truly verify with a 17.5 infield check to truly know what are we truly planting, and then make, again, a meter or a vacuum adjustment before changing the meter speed to compensate for the population difference from target. So, yep. Nope, good question. Good question. Let me see if I can get this to work now. Okay, so again, re-highlight 40-foot frame, 1,000 pounds heavier than a comparable 65. High transport clearance. We just saw that picture in the folded process. Again, change to VF tires across the entire toolbar. We actually increased the tire size a little bit as well to help support the increased weight. 120 bushels of total capacity with the twin 60 bushel tanks. 30 degrees of flex. Both meter options, true rate, true speed. 300 gallons of liquid with split row. Again, like the one behind me, you go to 16 row only. It's 600 gallons of liquid. And on top of that fertilizer option, we also offer notched fertilizer openers on that. And we'll talk about that once we get into fertilizer here in a little bit. 5670 30-foot frame. Again, a little different. Lightened it up a little bit to get to 750 pounds lighter than a comparable 3665. Still high transport clearance, still utilize VF tires. Again, on the 12 row, again, different tire size on the 12 row than the 16 row as well because of a weight difference. Twin 40 bushel tanks to get you 80 bushels capacity. You get 28 degrees of wing flex, so just a little bit less than the 16 row, but more than the older generation 3665. Same story when it comes to meters, fertilizer, and fertilizer openers. So as I've always talked about, when you think about 5000 series, it's kind of like a broken record, as it's a lot of the same features and options across the entire family to really kind of fit your needs as a whole. When we think about the frame of 5670, we talked about, again, the changes in hose and harness take up. We still have some of the similar functionality and concepts from the 3665. So we still, of course, it's a lift and pivot frame, right? We're still utilizing the center post to physically raise it up, rotate that toolbar for transport. We still utilize the rock shaft for raising it up and down in the field. So this is a picture of the rock shaft, obviously in the fully lowered position. This picture is, of course, halfway in the fold process. So when we're physically raising the planter, we never go up the center post. We're physically pivoting this axle down and raising that toolbar up. So you get much more under toolbar, or really under hitch clearance when you're turning on the ends. Obviously less wear and tear on the center post itself, because we only use the center post for transport. So Same thing we've done with the 3665. Of course, have just really beefed up that guy, have kept the same lift time. We actually made it a little bit faster than the 3665, even though it's, heavier and we provide more options. You're still in that 5 to 6 second full lift time, even though we're raising the toolbar higher to support the increased row unit travel. So still using a rock shaft to raise and lower. Of course, the best part of utilizing a rock shaft not only is the increased under hitch clearance, but when that toolbar is physically down in the plant position, we're physically locking that center frame into the rock shaft. And if you're looking at the picture on the lower right corner in front of that tire, you'll see a big silver pin. Right above that, you'll see what looks like kind of a hand or a U-shaped part on the lower part of that toolbar. When you set it down in the plant position, of course there's one on each side, those catches come down and basically lock that center frame into the main axle. Again, provide a much more stable, a much more durable interaction, and again, less wear and tear parts. You compare it to a 3600 where we have the roller guides that follow up and down that main frame. Don't have any of that, all right, and just provide a much more stable support. Again, more weight, more flex, just provides a much more rigid toolbar when you're in the planting position as well. Again, another thing that has carried over from the 3665 also. But again, just heavier reinforced frame and rock shaft design compared to the 3665 as well. Hitch options have continued on with the same options that we offered on the 3665. So of course, on the left-hand side over here, you have the 2-point hitch option, again, which allows you to, of course, quickly raise and lower the hitch using the 2-point. Of course, still offer the standard drawbar hitch design. Really the biggest difference on the drawbar hitch, and something we changed several years ago as well in our 3665 and 3600s, is that drawbar hitch is now what I call a power pin or bull pull style hitch. It has the articulating swivel ball in there that allows, of course, reduced drawbar wear, allows a little more tighter fit around your hitch pin as well. Just again, improving the durability and life of the hitch and of course of your drawbar as well. So continued on with those two options. Again, they can be added at any time. They don't have to be initially ordered with a planter if you don't want as well. You want to change or switch, you can certainly do that at any time. The hoses on there are long enough to support both. We talked about the wing flex, just really kind of a cool picture showing it here at Kinze on one of our locations here, really just to show you what that max flex looks like. And again, this is 4 degrees over the older generation. It's over double the flexibility compared to a 3600. So really increase that wing flex and allow, again, just to support wider terrain applications and ensure that it's truly hugging the ground when you're going through the field. We talked about active hydraulic weight transfer, and if I go back to, of course, our wing flex picture, and you of course can see the fertilizer tanks on this one in the picture. Active hydraulic weight transfer is standard equipment on all 5000 series planters. Bulk fill scales, standard equipment on all 5000 series planters as well. So bulk fill scales allow us to utilize active hydraulic weight transfer. So on the screen, if I go back one, just to kind of refresh the slide, how we do active hydraulic weight transfer. Because of the scales, we know how full the seed tanks are. And as the tanks are full, we put more weight out to the wings to, of course, help reduce pinch row compaction. This function is really done automatically. There's nothing you have to do as the user. We're physically taking the weight of the bulk fill scales and adjusting the weight transfer out to the wing. Now, if you watch the animation here, you can see, of course, as the amount of seed goes down, you can see the transfer weight gauge starts to come down as well. Now, we never go to zero hydraulic weight transfer. We're just reducing how much is out to the wing. So there's always hydraulic weight transfer going to the wings, no matter if the seed is empty or completely full. We, of course, just put more when the tanks are full themselves. Standard equipment, nothing you have to do to have this function work. As we started to introduce this model and, of course, again, add more features to it, and including fertilizer. And, of course, on this picture, you can see where those tanks are located on the outside of the wing. Weight transfer, of course, is designed to take the seed weight, push that weight out to the wings, help alleviate pinch row compaction, and, of course, provide a more even weight distribution across the toolbar. Standard across on all 5670s and all 5000 series. We take it one step farther, and again, something we learned as we had customer test units and feedback from you guys in the field when we had those features. When you utilize or have fertilizer, and there's fertilizer in those tanks, you in a sense have a lot of weight transfer out to the wing. With that said, in some cases, depending on if you're in tilled conditions, very soft conditions, it can come to the point when you're utilizing fertilizer tanks that active portion where we're putting more weight out to the wings might be a little too aggressive. And I can tell you from personal experience running it at home that running fertilizer, I was utilizing fertilizer at home, especially both corn and beans, and realizing, again, some of our work ground conditions that the wing is just too much weight out on the wings, turning on the ends, backing into corners, all those type of things. So what we've done is not only is it active hydraulic, but we also give you the ability to adjust how aggressive the active part is. And as you see on the screenshot here from Blue Vantage, you can see the weight transfer feature, and it has maximum, medium, and minimum. And really what that does is change the curve of weight sent out to the wings. So again, for example, when I was full of fertilizer, I would change it to medium or minimum because I had a lot of weight on the wings already. I didn't need more or a lot more when the seed tank was full. So it allows you to truly dial in how aggressive that weight transfer is for your conditions. And again, it's a quick preset. You can see the PSI readouts. That'd be the hydraulic pressure going out to those wing cylinders. You can adjust it at any time. So it really allows you to fine tune it for how your planter is configured and the field conditions that you're in. And again, this features on all 5000 series planters. Just a little more unique use case specifically on the 5670 because of options, fertilizer, etc. So it really allows you to dial it into your application.
We do have another question.
Sure.
This is from Ryan. Are there any sensors that won't let you plant if the planter did not get fully lowered on the center post when unfolding?
Great question, Ryan, and something, and I was going to talk about it as we get to the walk around, but we can talk about it right here, is we now have what we call position switches when folding. Okay, so for example, if you are in transport or you're in field position, you got done planting, okay, and we're raising that toolbar all the way up, and of course we're going to rotate and pivot it around. We now have sensors on the planter that tells you if the planter is not raised all the way up, it is not rotated all the way, again, depending on transport or field position, or if the tongue is not retracted or things of that nature. There's physical alarms on the fold screen now when you go to press the button. So take, for example, we're going from planting, we're done with that field, and now we're going to move to the next field. I'm raising the planter up, right? I'm taking it up the center post. And let's say I got a phone call, I stopped, I answered the call, and I turn and look, I'm like, oh, it looks like it's high enough, and I go to hit rotate on Blue Vantage. If that is not all the way up, there is frankly, a large obnoxious sound and an indicator that flashes that says toolbar not fully raised. And it will beep at you, it will honk at you. So then you're like, well, why? That's a different sound. What's going on? And you're like, oh, it's not raised all the way. Now, if you go back, raise it all the way, that icon will turn green and let you know it's all the way up. Now, with that said, and I realize when it comes to sensors, we don't want sensors to prevent you from not planting. Okay, so if that sensor is damaged or bad or whatever it might be, it doesn't prevent you from folding. It just will alert you that, hey, it's not all the way up when you truly know it is all the way up. So it's an alert to kind of help you and help remind you. Again, we get in long days, you get tired. It's happened to me as well, where you did a fold function wrong, and of course on a lift and pivot, can be a little more detrimental than like a front fold is. We give you an alert and an alarm, but we don't prevent you from physically folding. So again, if that sensor gets damaged, you can press and hold it and still fold it as it's beeping at you, if you will, that it's not fully raised, even though you know it's fully raised. So that's just one example. But again, we have several sensors to prevent you from, again, retracting the tongue before you rotate. It's not rotated all the way. And again, back to that toolbar height sensor as well. So you betcha. That is a change we've made on the 5670. Again, reminders to help you with that fold process as well. So you bet. Some other standard features that I wanted to talk about just as a reminder. I know we've talked about a lot of options already, but LED work lights, standard equipment, one rear-facing camera for transport. Again, part of the base feature set on all 5000 series planters. The one thing to note on that one rear-facing camera, on a lift and pivot, it is on the right-hand wing. Of course, pick up and rotate, that right-hand wing will, of course, be the rearward most locations. So one camera will be facing backwards in transport. If you want one behind you, like on the catwalk, to help back up to the seed tender, you can, of course, add more. We support up to 4 cameras. You can add those extra cameras at any time. So just to a lot of guys, hey, if you want one that's going to help you physically back up when you're in plant position, you want to add another one to the mix, because that other one, again, is mounted on the right-hand wing for transport. We've talked about bulk fill scales. Again, standard equipment on all 5000 series planters that ties directly into that active hydraulic weight transfer that we just talked about. And lastly, like we have on all Blue Drive equipped machines, there is a 2-year standard factory warranty. Again, that covers hitch pin to tail wheel for 2 full years on all Blue Drive equipped machines. So just want to highlight some of those other features, again, that are part of that machine that we kind of don't specifically talk about. And again, wanted to highlight that 2-year warranty as well. Okay, so we kind of dialed into the frame. We'll review the frame some more as we do our walk around. Just want to kind of run through the 5000 series row unit as well, and kind of big differences that we've introduced with this row unit as well. Some of the big features, we added, again, a lot of standard items, similar to a lot of standard features on the planter. One being spoked gauge wheels. Again, spoke gauge wheels help with better residue flow, etc. Excuse me. Better residue flow, better, wet condition management on having the spoked versus the solid. We also support gauge wheel mud scrapers, again, standard equipment. And of course, the 5000 series row unit utilizes 12 inches of vertical row unit travel, which is tied directly into that 24 inches of under toolbar height. So increase the toolbar height to help support row unit travel. We still support electric drive insecticide, as you see in this picture as well. And we also offer a seed corn hopper and a plot hopper for row unit application. The push row unit, same features as the pull row unit. Fully cast iron construction, again, just like the pull row unit. The difference really from the pull row to the push row is, obviously we're pushing it through the field, but more importantly, the parallel arms, both top and bottom, are fully cast iron reinforced parallel arms. Okay, on the pull row unit, the lower one is fully cast. The top one is really just a thick laser cut steel. But push row unit, cast top and bottom. And went to, of course, cast faceplate as well. So really just increase the durability, and the first time we've ever offered a cast iron push unit as well. We do offer a seed corn hopper. I just want to highlight that all the 5000 series, 5670 are all bulk fill only, so there's no standard hopper option. This is kind of a mini hopper. It's a 0.8 bushel capacity, mainly used for guys planting seed corn, all right, for male rows. But if you're planting large plots, etc., you can utilize this hopper. It fits right on to the hopper side panels on the standard row unit. We also offer a plot hopper extension, like you see here as well. So this guy physically slides onto your existing mini hopper. It's easy to put on, take off. You can leave it on for the whole season if you so choose. But again, just allows you to support that plot application, or again, the ever important sweet corn at the beginning of the season. Again, allows you to dump more seed directly into that row unit without having to do that and add more seed to the bulk tank as well. Dedicated storage part, really important again on our 5670, specifically on the split row application if you're using the planter for both corn and beans, or 30-inch rows and 15-inch rows. Underneath the lid, you can see in this picture the orange caps. The cap on the right is for capping off your vacuum hose. So take the front push row units. We're going to use the rear rows only and plant 30-inch rows. We need to cap off vacuum and cap off bulk fill. The caps live there. You take off the one on the right, the larger one, plug it into the vacuum hose, then put that right back onto the top of the meter, and your vacuum is capped off. The orange cap, the round circle part on the other side, again, quarter turn, you pull that out, take your bulk fill hose off, put your orange cap into that guy, screw it back onto the bulk fill elbow, and now you'll have shut off vacuum and bulk seed to the front rows, and you're ready to utilize the 30-inch rows on the back. So just a little, really a little more ergonomics, and saves you the headache of knowing where the caps are when you're switching between crops. So those live under the lid itself. We talked about the parallel arms. Again, large cast parallel arms on the bottom on a pull row unit, cast top and bottom on the push row unit. It's a fully cast iron faceplate. Of course, when we went to the 5000 series, we've strengthened that faceplate over 45%. We continue on with our double bushing parallel arm design. So where you have a bushing pressed into the parallel arm, another bushing inside of it. And with that size and design, it's 25% larger than our single bushing design and over double the life of the parallel arm bushing. So a lot longer life out of them. But more importantly, once those wear out, you don't have to replace the entire arm, because you would just simply replace the press-in bushing, the inner bushing, and you have a brand new set of parallel arms. So help eliminate that need of wearing parallel arms out. You're just wearing the bushings themselves. So carry over from our 05 series. Again, both push and pull row units utilize that design. Again, we fully support our True Depth hydraulic downforce, all designed in-house here at Kinze. It is all row by row control, supports up to 650 pounds of downforce, up to 150 pounds of uplift, row by row. We do that by only utilizing one valve at the row as well. So really a simplified hydraulic downforce system with a large diameter rod for the cylinder, and the cylinders are all rebuildable. If you would ever happen to have a leak, you can take them apart and rebuild the components on True Depth. With True Depth, specifically on the push row units, when you utilize True Depth hydraulic downforce, we have a feature with hydraulic downforce that we call lift assist. And what that does is we talk about that 150 pounds of uplift on the row. Okay, so what we do is there's an option in Blue Vantage that you say lift assist. You turn lift assist on, and it takes almost 200 pounds of row unit weight off the push row unit. So it's super easy to lock them up out of the way. So it's really almost a one-arm operation with the lift lever now. So kind of a benefit of having that True Depth option. It allows you to easily raise those push row units when you're locking them up out of the way for 30-inch rows.
We do have another question from Jeff regarding the parallel arms. Is the top and bottom cast arms the same with the double bushing? He's asking about the pole row units.
Yep, you betcha. So double bushing parallel arms, the same on all 5000 series row units, whether it's pull row or push row. So yes, same concept all the way through the row unit. Both row units are the same. The only difference, push row unit, and I'll talk about it again as we do the walk around. Push row unit, top and lower parallel arms are cast, of course, just because of the way that row unit is putting the force into those parallel arms, a little different than the pull row unit. So the top and bottom are cast on push rows. Pull rows, the rear is cast. The lower rear is cast. The top is just stamped steel. And again, I'll walk through that once we walk through the row unit as well. Disc opener blades, another carryover when we introduced the 05 series back in 2019 and 2020. Double bearing disc opener blades. We've gone to not only double bearings, but we now have gone to a machined style hub. So the hub that holds that bearing is machined. And we've gone to large diameter rivets, or larger diameter rivets, that physically hold that hub to the blade. So really provide a more truer running blade. A longer life, meaning when the blades wore out, the bearing is still in good shape instead of vice versa, where the bearing wears out before the blade. Just a much truer running blade. Again, a carryover from our 05 series. We've had this for several years, not a whole lot new on the disc blade side. We have transitioned to a spring-loaded outer outer disc scraper. As you can see in the picture, it's spring-loaded now. It is double the thickness and is a hardened material compared to the older spring steel style version. Of course, with the spring-loaded version, it would stay in contact with the outside of that disc opener blade for its entire life. But again, just a harder, durable scraper to, again, over double the life of those compared to the older generation. We talked about spoke gauge wheels already. Again, as an option with the gauge wheel mud scraper on the top as well. Standard equipment, pull row, push row, same story. The biggest difference by far in the row unit is going to the greaseless, shimless gauge wheel arm. All right, and if we watch the animation here again, there's a shouldered castle nut on the outside of that gauge wheel arm. In that picture, you can see the blue part. That is our fiber bushing. The green line on each side of that blue bushing is really just a dust and dirt seal. The pivot shaft itself is over double the diameter of our older grease style gauge wheel arm, so it's a lot larger. And again, with that, has over doubled the surface area of that fiber bushing, and you don't have to grease it anymore. So not only did we get rid of the grease point, we made it easy to adjust by getting rid of the shims as well. So if I play this guy again, you look at the shouldered castle nut on the outside. As you rotate that castle nut, it will move that gauge wheel arm in and out. So at the end of the season or before you get rolling in the spring and you want to adjust your gauge wheel tire to, of course, have light contact with the outside of your double disc opener blade, you can adjust those in a matter of minute and a half per row as you simply remove the retainer pin and simply rotate that castle nut in to move that gauge wheel closer to the outside of the disc opener blade. So get rid of the greasing, added the fiber bushings, got rid of the shims so it's easier to adjust your gauge wheel arm, and we also have increased the thickness and hardness of that gauge wheel arm pocket as well. So the top pocket in the picture, thicker, harder, again, all about increasing life and durability of the row unit. So a lot of changes when it came to the gauge wheel arm. Again, make it quick, easy, and increase the durability and life of it as well. Just kind of, again, highlight the no shimming part. This is just a good picture of it fully assembled and what it looks like, again, in normal operation. If you look closer at that shouldered castle nut, you can see kind of a black ring inside or right at the base of that shouldered castle nut. On each side of that shouldered part are two UHMW pads on the part of that shouldered nut. The focus of those UHMW pads is to prevent anything from rusting or holding that adjustment solid. So if you completely douse it with fertilizer, it's not going to rust up and lock solid. You'll still be able to adjust that gauge wheel arm in and out. We're talking about fiber bushings, right? We got rid of the grease zerks on the gauge wheel arms. Just to highlight again, on our marker arms on the 5000 series, there is no greasing marker arms anymore either. We've gone to all fiber bushings in the marker arms, so you don't have to grease marker arms as well. So if you think about a 16 row with split row, 31 rows, you're looking at 62 grease zerks just for the row units. You tag on the markers as well, you're getting close to almost 100 daily grease zerks that we've completely eliminated from the planter. So allow you to get up and running quicker as well with the lower maintenance items. Manual adjust closing wheels. So we got to get to the back of the row unit. Not a whole lot's changed. It's still our same 4-notch closing wheel arm. The biggest one is they are now cast iron. So they're no longer the stamped steel version. It's a fully cast closing wheel arm. We're still using replaceable bushings in the gauge wheel, the closing wheel arm pivot. So again, still rebuildable, fully cast iron. We punched some holes in the back of it to help support rear fertilizer drop tubes and those type of things. Both pull row and push row on the mechanical side are cast iron on the cast closing wheel item. We also offer pneumatic closing wheel options as well. Again, push row, pull row, same story. Has the ability to be adjusted, of course, from the cab in the Blue Vantage display. That is a cast iron arm as well, so very, very similar. But on both of the closing wheel arms, we got our spring adjust, we have our air adjust. We also have the ability, and added this feature to make it easier in the field, is a quick flip up closing wheel arm. And if we look at this picture, this rear closing wheel arm is locked in what I call the plant position. We have a feature on the closing wheel tail that we can remove this forward pin. You can see the hole empty now. Rotate that complete rear closing wheel tail up, lock it up out of the way, and then you can have a nice, easy viewing seed trench, checking depth, population, seed spacing. And I use it a lot when I'm trying to set section control and how my turn on and turn off is doing. So this is on both spring adjust or air adjust, quick flip up tail. Again, just allow it easy to check all of those things in the field.
Going back to the fiber bushings,
Yeah.
Jeff had a question. How long are the fiber bushings expected to last in the gauge wheel arm?
That's a good question, Jeff. A lot of variables that come into that as a whole. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be around, on average, 400 to 600 row acres of expected life. Again, it just kind of depends on conditions, speed, downforce, etc. We haven't got to the point of wearing out the bushings to need replacement yet, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be somewhere in that range. So 400 to 600 row acres will easily be able to attain that with this fiber bushing. So I can't give you a hard number because we haven't worn one out yet to get to that point, but way longer, of course, than the greasable ones by far. I tell guys, it's at least 2.5 times of the older grease style, copper style bushings that we've had before. So a long time for sure. We get into the front attachment side. We've offered, again, Getter air adjust closing wheels. We have options from the faceplate mounted to the Coulter combo version like you see here. We have narrow faceplate ones, the planter behind me, which has faceplate mounted ones front and rear. utilize the narrow 45-degree residue wheels because we got them all the way around. We, of course, have the Coulter combo ones if it's a 30-inch only. A lot of options when it comes to residue wheels depending on the configuration of the planter. The big thing, though, is we also offer the ability for you to decide on what style of air adjust residue wheels you want. And the second bullet point on this slide highlights it, where we offer an air adjust only control package for connecting other makes of air adjustable row cleaners. So what does the air adjust only package get you? It gets you everything installed on the planter, the hydraulic compressor, the control valves, and all the air lines are plumbed and run to the faceplate of the row unit. This allows you to choose an air adjust closing wheel, or excuse me, air adjust residue wheel of your choice. So take, for example, Martin's. All right, a lot of guys like to utilize the Martin ACCR style of residue wheels. You can certainly do that. Order the air adjust only package. Everything comes fully installed. You connect the air lines to your Martins. You're ready to go. All right, so we give you the flexibility, but still have the integration into Blue Vantage. So again, makes it easy for you guys to pick and choose whatever you prefer from a residue wheel option as well. Again, everything's integrated to the Blue Vantage display. Scales, markers, folding. That display is going to run everything on the planter, residue wheels and closing wheels and all those things as well. So not a separate display for any of the functions we've talked about. It's all integrated into Blue Vantage itself.
We have a few questions here from Scott.
Okay.
One going back to the cast closing wheel assemblies. Are they able to be retrofit back to the 05 series?
Absolutely, Scott. Those are a direct replacement for the stamped steel version. So yes, absolutely, direct replacement.
Scott has another question. This one does involve Blue Vantage.
Okay.
As an enhancement, when backing up the planter into a corner, is there a way that you can add a planter reset button near the prime button so that the planter appears straight behind the planter? When backing into the corner, the planter is straight behind the tractor, but the Blue Vantage shows it really off to one side or the other, which messes up the row section control when putting the planter down and starting to go straight.
Yep. So Jeff, that should almost snap directly behind you once you set the planter down. So without getting too in deep of how we're doing the backing up part, if you back into a corner, or let's say you're squaring off a corner and you're coming around, you pick the planter up and you back up. Not super uncommon depending on the GPS we're using and those type of things, to have the planter be kind of cockeyed or whatever it may be as you're backing up. For a lack of better terms, not a problem. Back up into your corner, get your planter set the planter down, and when that happens, that planter should snap directly straight behind you. I will say, though, sometimes if it snaps straight and you take off, it might have a little bit of a swale in it, but it should not be aggressive. It shouldn't swing a lot. So if it's not snapping as you set the planter down, something we need to look at and figure out what's going on. By all means, make sure we're up to date on software. That's the biggest one. But again, not uncommon. I've been involved in it long enough to know different GPSs react different on the backing up part. So what we've done is, whatever happens when we back up and whatever information we're getting from your GPS, that's fine. We can make the planter do all sorts of odd things. As soon as you set the planter down, it should immediately snap straight behind you and then be good to go as a whole. If it's not snapping behind you when you set the planter down, before you start moving forward, I probably should preface that, set the planter down, take off. It should alleviate a lot of that swale and whale tail, if you will, when you're starting into a corner as a whole. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about fertilizer. All right, just to highlight some fertilizer. I know fertilizer on a split row is kind of an up and coming thing as a whole. We got pockets that utilize it a lot, and I realize, as we talked earlier on capacity of seed, maybe not a big item for you, but A couple things we've done with the fertilizer system is, of course, this fertilizer system on a 5670 is the same as we have on our front fold planters. So 5700, 5900. We utilize a diaphragm style pump, which of course allows us to be a lot more durable for the ability to run dry if that ever happens, well over 10 minutes and not create any issues. It allows us to provide a factory installed auxiliary plumbing option. So if you're running saddle tanks or a rear trailer hitch, which you can get on a 5670, we will factory install and run those hoses. So everything's out of harm's way, and it allows you to pull from auxiliary tanks, of course, to increase the fertilizer fill times as well. We can support rates from 2 to 25 gallons an acre, from speeds to 3 to 12 miles an hour. That's both on 30-inch rows and 15-inch rows, both. We use an electromagnetic style of flow meter, so a little better flow meter than a turbine style. Again, provides just a more consistent operation and longer life using electromagnetic one instead of a standard turbine style that we've had for a long time. The system has agitation really built into it. So as soon as the pump is running, the fertilizer is flowing. We're obviously bypassing extra flow. So the fertilizer is always agitating as well if you are worried about agitation for the type of fertilizer you're using. The pump's, of course, completely rebuildable, all right, being a diaphragm style pump. And of course, to run the fertilizer system, that hydraulic requirement for the pump comes from the PTO, all right, and the PTO pump. So no worried about adding more options and needing more more hydraulic capacity, because it's all run off the pump. It doesn't matter. We also have row by row shutoff for fertilizer as well. So we're utilizing flow switches on every row to turn off and turn on the row, as well as flow switches to tell us if the fertilizer is flowing or not flowing. And this is a new style flow switch we introduced with the 5000 series. The very center part there with that top cone, and you can see kind of the 4 pins on that electrical connector, that's where our flow sensor lives. So as you can see in this breakdown, we have a shutoff valve that of course is turning it on and off, a flow wheel sensor that obviously once the fertilizer starts to flow, that wheel starts to spin, and that top cap is obviously reading those 2 stainless steel balls on the top of that flow switch. Provides a super accurate flow switch to let you know if it's flowing or not flowing. It's easy to clean out, resistant to sticky fertilizers, and does a great job at low fertilizer rate. So again, 15-inch row application, some guys put maybe 3 and 4 gallons an acre down on 15-inch rows. It's a very low fertilizer rate. This allows us to continually pick it up and make sure you have an accurate reading for fertilizer as well. We also have interactive orifice charts to help you know which orifice to use and install in the planter. It's interactive, where you, of course, tell us your row spacing, put your fertilizer rate in there, and your desired range of travel speeds, and we provide you the recommended orifice for that application. So it takes all the guesswork out of it, makes it easy on you to know exactly what should be installed for your rates on the planter as well. So built into Blue Vantage, again, make life easier. That's what it's all about. Do have some fertilizer application method changes. Our in-furrow drop tube, so the one right behind the drop tube here in the center of the row unit, we've had for, again, a long, long time, drops it in furrow on top of the seed. That one's been around for a while. We now introduced the rear fertilizer drop tube option, like you see in this picture. Of course, allows fertilizer to be dispensed on top of the ground, right behind the closing wheel arm. All of the closing wheels, both the air adjustable and the cast iron spring ones, all support mounting these fertilizer tubes. All right, so added those 2 options. Just wanted to bring this picture back up to show the notched fertilizer opener options. And this is available on 30-inch only or with split rows as well, you can get the notched fertilizer. So just kind of show you what they look like across the planter on a 30-inch row. This is what it looks like kind of up close and personal, if you will. It's the same style of notched fertilizer opener we've had for a long time. We, of course, have just changed the mounting to support the increased toolbar height as well. So you can get fertilizer openers on a 5670 as well to get 2x2 application also. So just wanted, again, kind of touch through fertilizer. One thing I'd be remiss not to talk about as well, since we're on a 15-inch machine, and this machine is capable to have true speed metering, we now offer a high-speed wheat disc as well. So as you can see, it's designed for use on 15-inch rows with our high-speed metering. Realize a lot of you guys are utilizing high speed in the 15-inch realm of things. You can see the population support of about 0.5 to 1.6 million seeds an acre. Some of that depends on what your desired travel speed is. So you might have to slow down a little bit to get a higher population on the wheat side of things, but it's available for purchase today. We have a lot of guys that not only use it for wheat, but rye and some cover crop applications as well. Just kind of depends on what your expectation is and goal from an application rate. But from a wheat standpoint, it works very well. We've had guys using it for the last several years. I'd be remiss not to talk about it when we're talking about our 15-inch toolbar as well. But that is ready today. They've been available since last year, planting wheat with high speed as well. All right, so we kind of made it through the presentation part. Zach in the back's been doing a good job with your guys' questions. I want to spend a little bit of time just doing a walk around to kind of, again, close this up and get to the toolbar itself. So, we good? Good switch? All right. Good for me to walk around too. So just want to start at the toolbar or at the front hitch and just kind of work our way around and kind of highlight and talk about the things we've kind of talked about during the presentation so far. So again, new toolbar from the ground up, and we'll talk about toolbar height once I get over to the side of the toolbar and where the marker lives. But new toolbar, 24 inches of under toolbar height. The hitch clearance has come up a few inches as well when you're going through the field to, again, help support that toolbar change. As we talked earlier, from a hitch standpoint, this one, of course, is equipped with a drawbar hitch application. Again, utilizing the articulating swivel hitch, so the ball and socket in there to help reduce drawbar wear. We also offer a 2-point hitch option like we've had for forever, so still that solution in the 2-point hitch side. Again, all 5000 series, as we talked earlier, come standard with the variable displacement PTO pump. Of course, that pump runs all functions on the planter, so the alternator for your electric drive portion, bulk fill fans, vacuum fans, fertilizer, hydraulic downforce, weight transfer, all those things are all run through the PTO pump. The beauty part about the pump is it's sized for all the options. So no matter how you option the planter, or if you decide to add an option later down the road, the PTO pump has the hydraulic capacity to support it as well. It's variable displacement, so the pump automatically adjusts flow based on demand from the planter. And of course, a lot of guys ask, well, do I have to run this thing at 1,000 RPM all the time? And you definitely don't. If you're in that 775, 825 PTO RPM, usually God's plenty of speed to supply the oil. All right. If you have to run it at 1,000 because you, again, need the power or you're in a hill or whatever it may be, that's not a problem. But again, you don't have to run it wide open or 1,000 PTO all the time. It has its own, of course, self-contained oil, has a self-contained oil cooler that automatically turns on and turns off. It automatically adjusts the direction of the fan as well. It's on a timer to blow air other way or the other way to help keep that radiator clean and help keep everything cool. So you don't have to rely on tractor cooling, all self-contained. That system's designed to, again, run everything on the unit. Okay, so we work our way back To the toolbar, again, very similar to our other lift and pivot frames, of course, with our catch latch in our front, and of course, extendable hitch, etc. Highlight again what we talked about earlier is we've added switches to the toolbar to help prevent you from damage when folding. All right, so ensure that the toolbar is all the way up, or the toolbar is all the way down, or the hitch is fully extended or retracted before you've, fold or unfold. So built-in safety switches, if you will, to help with that folding process. As we work our way back again to the toolbar itself, we talk about the bulk fill capacity. Again, this of course is a 16 row with twin 60 bushel tanks. You get to the 12 row size, again, we drop down to the twin 40 bushel tanks for 80 bushels of capacity. We talk about the bulk fill side. One thing I want to highlight since we're talking about it here, and one thing we've changed for this coming model year is the entrainer itself. And really, the concept of our bulk fill has not changed. And again, we made changes to the entrainer when we introduced the 05 series back in 2019. But really what we've done is change the way the doors open. All right, so when you're trying to clean out your tank or switch hybrids or whatever it may be, we've actually flipped the doors around so they actually open away from you now. So it's a lot more ergonomic. From my point of view, it's a lot easier. From personal use of fighting it, open them the other way, it's just handier. All right, we're all about making life easier, so we've changed the doors on the bottom to have those doors flip away from you. So again, just a lot easier to use. Bulk fill, again, standard equipment, but with that bulk fill tank, we also, of course, have standard bulk fill scales. We'll see the display on the back side of the toolbar once we walk back there. So you have a dedicated display on the catwalk. Each tank is weighed individually. And of course, the tank level and acres to empty and all those type of features are all built into the Blue Vantage display, so you can see it inside the tractor cab as well. You walk over to our wing hinge area. Again, something we've changed is to go over or go back to the over center wing locks. Okay, so your wing lock cylinder, which lives under the toolbar, is physically, of course, going to rotate this wing lock down and go over center and lock your wings rigid for when you're, of course, going down the road in transport. A change from our older 3665 when we were relying on a single cylinder to hold that weight up. We've gone away from that, a little simpler, more robust system to help support, again, fertilizer weight. With bulk fills and the scales, we talked about active hydraulic weight transfer. So, of course, Kinze pioneered and introduced weight transfer back in 2009. The active weight transfer, the weight transfer cylinder on this frame is this one up here on the top, of course, which is pressing that weight out to the wings. All right, so that's our weight transfer cylinder. We still utilize the top toolbar frame as our vacuum manifold, and of course is a structural part of the toolbar as well. So we keep that nice and clean, having the manifold as part of the main frame. We again talked about having dual fans set up as well, so we no longer have the fan in the center of the toolbar. We have one fan on each wing. All right, this of course is one on the right-hand side for our seed. Gives you the ability to adjust for each half of the planter, all right, or the two hybrids. We kind of work our way out here, and again, want to touch on the push row unit. Okay, so again, first time we've offered cast iron, has all the great features of the 5000 series pull row unit, right? It's greaseless, shimless, cast iron, etc. Utilizes a cast iron faceplate, cast iron upper arm with double bushings. Okay, you can see the reinforcement rib on the top part of it. I know it's hard to see from where you guys are at, but on the top part of this upper parallel arm, it is boxed all the way across this upper parallel arm as well, fully cast iron. Lower parallel arm, fully cast iron as well, has the reinforcement rib on the outside, fully boxed lower frame. All right, so really strong Parallel arms when you go to the 5000 series being cast iron, boxed all the way across, just a whole different animal from our older 3000 series push row units that we've had for a long time. Okay. Of course, the 5000 series push row unit still utilizes steel side panels, all right, from physical structure standpoint. You compare it to the side panels on the pull row unit. Of course, we've gone to the plastic side panels that we've had for a long time. We get to the end of the toolbar, again, with our markers. Again, highlight again, our markers are greaseless, fiber bushing installed, so there's no greasing markers anymore. They are still breakaway markers as well, so our breakaway feature down here. Again, so if you hit something, the marker is going to break away with shear bolts on the outside. So gone to fiber bushings on the markers. Work our way back to the side of the toolbar. Again, we get to the pull row unit. And of course, this one just happens to be equipped with insecticide as well. So again, electric drive insecticide. I'd be remiss to highlight one feature on the row unit, and really a feature that's been on all electric drives from Kinze, is the manual red button on the back of the row unit. The red button on the push row unit and the pull row unit, or any electric drive 5000 series planter, that red button is the manual run button. So you can be out here working on the planter, press that red button, everything on that row unit will run. So in this case, our fertilizer valve will open, the meter will turn on, and our insecticide will turn on. So it allows you to truly ensure that that row unit is ready to go before you walk back up to the tractor cab itself. Okay. One thing I'll highlight as well, since I'm standing on the end of the toolbar, is we highlighted the fact that this is the outermost part of the toolbar. We have moved the tire in one row, so it allows you to, again, get closer to that fence row when you are planting. All right, so move the tire in, both, again, 12 and 16 row allows you to get closer. Again, one of the items based on feedback from you guys on our previous generations. Okay, so we're already to the backside. What we're going to do, we'll flip cameras. We're going to walk back to the rear of the planter and kind of finish up our walk around. All right, so as we get to back of the toolbar, of course, this guy happens to be equipped with liquid fertilizer. One unique feature that comes to fertilizer on the 5670, of course, because we're utilizing dual tanks on this guy, is we actually have automatic tank leveling for the fertilizer option. So on the top of the fertilizer tank, the round part, or the round black sensor up there, is a radar sensor. It's sensing the level of the tank. And if you were on a side hill, of course, if the right-hand side was downhill, that fertilizer, of course, is going to flow downhill to the tank. We would know that this one is getting higher than the other one. We automatically close valves and have that fertilizer go to the upper tank. So we keep them level even on side hills to prevent those tanks from overfilling. That feature, standard equipment on any fertilizer package on the 5670. It also works when you are filling it as well. So as you're loading the planter, if you're not perfectly level, we'll automatically adjust the valves to ensure that, again, you don't overfill one of the fertilizer tanks. So again, try to make it easy. And again, we do it automatic, and it's standard equipment on the toolbar as well. As we walk down the toolbar, kind of right under the fertilizer tank, both on the two wing wheels, and as I walk all the way back here to the center of the toolbar, well, again, one thing we've changed is gone to all VF style high flotation radial tires. We've increased the tire size to, again, help support the weight. But again, those high flex tires provide, again, better weight carrying capacity, but more important, less compaction. And again, better ability to not compress that row as you're going through the field, especially on the soybean side of things. And I can vouch that having planted with a couple different versions of tires with them, that the radials definitely make a big difference on the emergence side of things. All right, so gone to VF tires again across the toolbar. This one, of course, is really outfitted with every option. We get to the center frame. We still utilize the center frame as our air compressor tank. So of course this one has not only air closing wheels, but Yetter air adjustable residue wheels. Have our hydraulically driven compressor here, but the entire center tank is our capacity for air. So again, utilizing the frame to help keep options and attachments a little cleaner as a whole. As we work our way back, again, we talked about bulk fill scales as well. On the center back by the deck is, of course, a LCD display that, of course, gives you the weight for each tank. We weigh each tank individually. So, of course, as you're filling it, you can split a Pro Box or whatever it may be on the tanks. Again, part of the standard factory package on any 5000 series bulk fill scales. The last one, if I step back just a little bit, since we're talking about bulk fill, we do have a bulk fill on-off switch back here as well. So if you needed to go and look at the level of the tanks, or you were leaving everything on and reloading with seed and you forgot to shut the bulk fill fan off from the display, you can walk back here, press and hold that red button, and it'll shut the fan off for you. So then you can open the lids, fill, and either turn it back on here or simply go back up to the display itself and turn it on also. So again, a lot of big changes based on feedback from you guys and really to support the options and features that you guys have wanted in a split row application. That's really where the 5670 comes in. Again, the newest model of our 5000 series lineup. So just kind of a good walk around to get you guys a feel and kind of just again reiterate everything we've talked about so far today. All right. So with that, I'm going to jump back up to the front. You guys have questions, feel free to type those in and we'll get those answered and kind of wrap up for the day.
No questions as of yet, but I do see that Tim was just typing.
Oh, all good.
So we can just hold tight for a second and
one thing I'll highlight, guys, if you are have questions, or more importantly, all right, if you guys are interested in getting more hands-on with 5670s, by all means, I would encourage you to get with your dealer and come and visit us at an Experience Kinze event. And kind of what Experience Kinze is, and if you've been on our other webinars or again, following Kinze around, Experience Kinze is really exactly that. The ability for you to come to Kinze, see the factory, talk with us here at Kinze, engineers, test guys, and get you in the field to physically plant seed, ride in the tractor, and truly get a feel what the planter can provide for you, what it looks like, touch, feel, and really get your questions answered. We're available for Experience Kinze's all the time and be more than willing to have you guys come out, visit with you. By all means, please visit with us at upcoming farm shows as we get in a farm progress show and all those as well. Be more than happy to host you and again, allow you to get some hands-on and get some questions answered. So,
speaking of questions, we have one from Tim. What does Kinze recommend for storage of true rate meter plates? Take them out in the off season, stack them.
Yep. So the nice part about any of our meters, true rate or true speed, the biggest thing I'm going to tell you, number one, is take it out of the meter. All right. And the reason we tell you to take it out of the meter, whether again, true rate or true speed, it allows your seals in the meter to relax. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, there's really no special storage orientation. You can stack them vertical in a box. To be honest, what we do here in our test group is just have a big vertical dowel and stack them vertical, just because it's easy and it takes less space. So nothing special. Just take them out of the meter, number one. Stack them any orientation. It does not matter. And it really doesn't matter to label that disc for that meter. So for example, if you took the disc out of row 1, it doesn't have to go back into row 1. There's not any big wear grooves or anything like that that would affect performance if you didn't put row 1 disc back in row 1. So kind of the beauty part of all of our components from the meters. Like I said, the dowel is kind of the handiest just because, again, it's vertical, takes up less space. Yep, super easy. Super easy.
Thank you, Tim. I see you're still typing, so we'll hold tight here for a second. As of now, no other questions.
Yep. And the other thing too, fellas, is you guys are, I know you kind of think of it after you get done with the webinar. If you guys have questions once we get done, by all means, feel free to reach out. Be more than happy to talk with you direct and get your questions answered at any time. That's what we're here for.
Tim would also like you to explain the singulator fine tuning slash adjustment on a true rate meter.
Okay. So true rate meter, you obviously have what I call large bucket adjustments, which would be your numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 0. Okay. Number 2 large bucket is for corn. Okay. Under the number 2, there are 3 hashes or dashes, if you will. Basically, it's a thin, a medium, and a thick. The thicker the band, the more aggressive the singulator is. Okay, so if you're on what I call 2, setting 3, it's really, really aggressive. Basically, your fingers on your singulator are smaller. As you get to the smaller band, it is less aggressive. I always tell guys to start at number 2 middle. So big setting of number 2 in the middle and go with that. That's going to cover a large range of seed sizes, and I would adjust my vacuum level first before I would adjust my singulator. So take, for example, we're on a number 2. We start planting, and we are getting a lot of skips. Okay, let's say it's 4% skips for an example. I would increase my vacuum to 1 or 2 pounds, see what it does. If I get 3 or 4 pounds and we're still having a lot of skips, I would then go back, adjust my singulator to 2 small, the smallest hash, and then try it again. So 2 middle, going to do a lot. Adjust vacuum first, singulator second, but the setting at 2 is mainly for corn. Of course, when you go to soybeans, we're going to go to 0 on that number, which of course is going to basically just expand those blades out, so it's not doing anything on the disc, from a singulation standpoint. The other settings, 1 and some of 3. I've rarely had to use 3. The only time I've had to use 3 is on a really, really large seed. So if you're getting up in the 68, 69, 70 pound seed, I sometimes have had to go to a big notch of 3 on the small side because the seed is so big. That's not a real common application, but something to think about if you're running into issues when it's really large seed as a whole. But 2, those 3 hashes in the middle, thicker the band, the more aggressive it is.
Tim just said, thanks for answering my questions.
You bet, Tim. Thanks for typing them in. And anybody that answered a question today or asked one, thank you. Thank you to everybody that jumped on this morning. Again, I hope it was a good use of your time. You learned something. And again, we appreciate you logging on to webinars. Again, more to come. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.